Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another Marvel Contest of Champions video. Today we're going to be talking about Road to the Labyrinth. I think this is a really good spot for a progression update for where you are as you're coming out of Act 4. Really, I think this is the next best spot to hit before you get into Act 5. Some of these nodes in here will prepare you for some of the difficulties of Act 5, as well as it's got decent rewards, it's going to be challenging, it's going to prep you for kind of more in-game content working through here. Really, I'm only going to be talking about Chapter 4. I think that hitting up Chapter 1 through 3 can be done at any time. I think that they can be done with 3-star champions, especially if you have them maxed out at 440 or 334 stars. Those can be handled there. So really, I'm just going to be hitting Chapter 4. This will probably be a two-part video. Try to hit part 4.1 through chapter 4.3 in this first one, and then the second one will hit 4.4 through 4.6. I just don't want this to be super long. I'm going to be going through, as you can see on the screen, kind of my breakdown of who I would use, different ideas and concepts. I'm not saying this is the be-all, end-all. There are people that have different strategies, methods, and ulterior motives and ulterior ways to take down these guys. I'm just going to go through how I kind of did it. I hit it initially back before Scarlet Witch and Black Widow were nerfed. I've kind of gone back through it, making sure that I can still do it with these champions without much of a hassle. So that is still there. So it is something that I've done recently. I'll probably get some video up of it as well, just to make sure that we're on the same page, so you can see how it's done in different ways there. So really, okay, here we go. We're going to jump into it. Chapter 4.1, that has our spiked armor node. Basically what this means is every time that you crit the enemy, they deal back a percentage of the health taken, as well as they gain a physical resistance node. So right off the bat for 4.1, and I'm put it in here, my #1 MVP is going to be Crossbones. Crossbones cannot crit, and because of that, he won't take any of that. He won't take any of that damage back, as well as he won't be giving them extra physical resistance throughout the fight, making them just a little bit tougher to take down. Outside of that, I'd highly recommend some type of regen champ. If you don't have a Crossbones, so if you're coming in there with like a Wolverine or Dr. Voodoo, someone like that can heal up, Ghost Rider is going to be another great one, just to take him down. He can, because of the regeneration, he's able to recoup that, and I'll kind of talk about some strategies with him that I'd recommend, or patterns of setting the curses on the enemy, or the judgments, sorry, on the enemy. So first fight is going to be Black Panther Civil War. I don't know if they did this for the memes or the lols, but he is stun immune. The hardest part about Black Panther Civil War is that he can reflect the stun if you hit him with it. So in this one, you're not going to have to worry about any accidental parries. You're not going to have to worry about clipping him with a stun from any of your specials or any of the physical stuns that you can inflict on him. So you don't have to worry about that. So that's great. He does have an increased crit rate. But going in here, honestly, just about anybody can take this guy down, and it's great if it's the first fight. I highly recommend just baiting his heavies. On his level 1s, be careful. I've posted a video about this on my channel, but when you're fighting Black Panther Civil War on his level 1, it really stretches across the screen a long ways. So when he has that 1 bar of power, and you're playing defensively, wanting to bait that one, make sure you're almost ready to dodge. You got to be ready to dodge twice. You do have to dodge twice, and it's in quick succession. If you're already a bit away from him, you can only dodge the 1 time, and that'll work out. But really, my recommendation for Black Panther is bait the level 2 as best as you can, and also bait the heavies. He likes to throw them out a lot. They're really easy to dodge. If you can, intercept him between the part 1 and part 2 of the heavy, because he covers a lot of ground, and that's one of the main problems, that he can really get you back against the wall. But using a champ like Wolverine, X-23, something like that, you're going to be able to regen all that chip damage that's done there. I'll put some other people on here that I recommend as well, like Voodoo, Beast, Crossbones, Ultron, Widow. Widow's pretty good for this round with spiked armor, because she can negate a lot of that reflect. When she does crit, a lot of times they won't reflect the damage as well as they won't get the physical resistance. So Magneto, his unblockable level 1 and 2 can be a little annoying. Level 1 doesn't really have a consistent opening after he fires off his unblockable level 1. I wouldn't risk rushing back in. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it does not, and you're going to be taking a lot of hits to the face. His level 2 does have a clean opening afterwards. I find it's easier to dodge if I'm right up next to him. Whenever you're further back, sometimes it's kind of hard to time the somewhat invisible beam that's coming across the map. So I just find it's easier to dodge if you're right up in his face, so play aggressive against that. And there's plenty of time if he does have his level 1 to dash back as he throws that really slow punch for the first part of his special. So against him, Crossbones is still okay even with the disadvantage. I would probably take in someone like a Voodoo or Ghost Rider instead, really stack those poisons against him. Try to stack as many as you can with Voodoo going in while you still have that regen, and then pop off a level 1 on an even combo. Get that to do as much damage as you possibly can. Ghost Rider, again, is still good just to get the regen and the regen factor on that. So jumping over to Vision, Age of Ultron, he starts with 2 bars of power and his level 2 is unblockable. So with Vision, as you probably know, you can block his level 1 without taking any damage. I'd recommend trying to evade it because that'll give you that dexterity buff and a higher chance of doing a crit coming off of that. But really, he's a pretty straightforward fight. If you can take just about anybody in there. I wouldn't use one of the Wolverines just because of class disadvantage. Again, Crossbones is going to be really good because you can't crit, but someone else like Ghost Rider or Voodoo are also very strong choices because they do have that regeneration factor. Black Bolt, same setup. He's got that unblockable level 2. Really, honestly, that's what you want to do is you want to push him to his level 2 because he does so much damage to himself by using it. Always try to be pushing to that level 2. Unlike Vision, blocking Black Bolt's level 1 will cause damage, so evade that. But again, go in with like a Ghost Rider, a Voodoo, a Wolverine X-23, someone that can regen. Gwenpool just does a sheer crazy amount of damage, so she's good for a lot of these fights that can bleed as well. That'll let you just get the fight down quicker, and she also, if she's awakened, she takes off that 2% defensive ability accuracy per hit. So the closer you get to 50, the more likely that you're not going to be activating the reflect damage on the crit and giving them the physical damage boost. So after that is Venom Pool. His stun immune's kind of frustrating. He plays very, very aggressive, kind of like Venom does in general. He does like to throw out his heavies, so bait those. The heavy is a 2-part, unlike Venom, so I try to always intercept. It's same as like Star-Lords or regular Deadpools. I try to intercept between part 1 and part 2 just so I don't lose ground. Anybody that's stun immune really can get you pushed back against the wall pretty quick. So I recommend trying to do the best you can to intercept as much as possible. And by baiting that heavy out. His level 1 and 2 are both very easy to dodge and give you a very solid option or an opening afterwards to rush in after. I would use someone like Voodoo. Again, if you can on this one. Ghost Rider is going to still be good. He will be a lot harder to heal. You're going to have to really bait the heavy, dash back, charge your heavy, and then hit him to get the heal proc judgment. So it's probably not as good of an idea to use Ghost Rider on this one, but he is still an option. Also, you can use your Wolverines, your X-23s, just heal up all that chip damage on champions that you can, that you're not having to worry about anything. So the Spider-Man is very frustrating. That 40% increased ability accuracy and crit rate can be very annoying. He's going to be evading a lot, even with someone with defensive ability accuracy reduction. I would go in here with a Crossbones, a Widow, or a Gwenpool. There's a couple other champions that would be okay. Some that I don't have. So I haven't really got to test them out. But anybody that reduces defensive ability accuracy will help a lot. With this fight, what I would do if I was bringing Crossbones, because again, I would highly recommend having Crossbones on this first chapter, if possible, for anything spiked armor. Crossbones, the second the fight starts, I would just hold block. It'll channel for your overrun. You'll start with 3 Fury buffs, which will give you a large amount of defensive ability accuracy reduction based on your current signature level. And then basically just pummel away, play as normal. If you can get a couple more stacks as you're hitting. Once you get to that 4 and 5 stack range, it's highly, highly unlikely he's going to evade. If you have 5 stacks and a defensive duped ability, he's not going to evade. I know there's been a lot of debate before on whether or not his is addition or additive or multiplicative. I've never had a Spider-Man dodge on me, or any evade champ dodge on me when I have 5 stacks of Fury. I know the chance is still probably if it is multiplicative instead of additive, it's probably like a 99.5% chance. So they might be able to, but I've not seen it personally. So I'm not going to be able to say one way or another. So yeah, that fight is frustrating, but just play safe, play smart. On his level 1, since it is sometimes difficult to dodge, it seems inconsistent. Sometimes I'll get it, sometimes I don't. What I do is I actually block the first 2 web shots, and then you can dodge out of the rest of the special so you don't take all the chip damage from the 3 punches, and it also gives you an opening. So the second at the time the second web ball hits you, the evade back, and you'll actually be able to separate yourself from Spider-Man. He'll do his punches in midair, and then you can rush back in and get him right after that. So that's one little trick that you can do against Spider-Man. But, you know, obviously push him to his level 2 if possible. Keep those Fury buffs stacked. If you have a Widow in there, you just have a 70% reduction anyway, so there's that. And then Gwenpool is stacking, so if you just play your parry game safe, parry 3 hits, parry 3 hits. If you go for the 4th hit, make sure to block a second after you throw it, because if he evades that one, he's coming back in quick. So if you do use Gwenpool, just play safe off the parries. Nightcrawler, same setup. Honestly, I would personally use Voodoo. I've really enjoyed using Voodoo for my Nightcrawler fights, firing off a special with an odd combo, really reducing his defensive ability accuracy, so he rarely evades. You still have to play kind of safe, but there's a good chance that he won't be evading on you. So really, again, you can use the Gwenpool or the Crossbones, the Widow, anybody with that defensive ability accuracy. I don't mind using Crossbones in this match, even with the class disadvantage, because Crossbones does so much damage that he can knock out Nightcrawler really, really fast. So there's 4.1. Jumping into 4.2. With Safeguard, really what this is you're only able to do 1% of the max health of the champion per hit. So it really stops you from using champions like a Thor or high crit champions, or just high impact champions that are going to chunk out a lot of health at the same time. But I highly recommend using somebody that has a damage over time ability. Is really going to help whittle through these fights. Luckily, it starts with one of the hardest fights of this section. The Abomination can actually be very frustrating with the enhanced poison. So if you're not bringing in someone that is poison immune and you're taking in someone like a Widow or Crossbones, Falcon still works if you throw up his recon mode first. Anybody like that has that defensive ability accuracy, those are all great. But if you're not hitting him with 100% reduction, there's a good chance you're going to get some poison stacks, and they do a lot of damage really fast because they last twice as long and they're 40% stronger. So there is that risk. So taking in someone that is poison immune and also has the damage over time, like a Hyperion with his level 1, how I would play that is I would parry, throw off a heavy, and next attack in, I would fire off my level 1, parry level 1, parry. I mean, just basically stack up those incinerates as much as possible after firing off your heavies to get the Fury bonuses. Iceman, you're just going to want to basically pummel him with your level 1. With him being poison immune, stack the Frostbite on him as much as possible. And just work with it that way. So Rocket Raccoon, unblockable level 1, and he's got a bias for his level 1, and he also does 100% attack damage. The unblockable level 1 is pretty easy to dodge. His level 2 can be tricky at times because the grenade travels pretty slow, but I find if you just back all the way up, it's not too bad. I'll take in someone that does a lot of damage over time with bleeds, so like a Gwen, a Voodoo would be good. Drax is still good for this one. Hyperion with his level 1 spam. Venom Pool, I'm just throwing out ideas here because Venom Pool's got a very strong bleed. I think he is a very underrated champion, and as Rocket Raccoon fires off his specials, he will be getting crit buffs. So as you're using Venom Pool, if you fire off your level 1, you'll be stealing those buffs, getting the regeneration, and putting a really massive bleed on Rocket Raccoon that'll take him down pretty quick. He doesn't have a lot of health, so that should be an easy fight. Black Widow's being stun immune and the crit rate. This can be kind of frustrating, but one thing that I would recommend is I like using Archangel for this fight. When Black Widow fires off her heavy, you can just evade back once, charge your heavy. When hers is done, she's gotten close enough to you that your heavy will hit her with all of its hits. And this gives you the stacks of bleed, and then she'll stack poison on herself while she's hitting into your block, and as you hit her with more heavy attacks, you'll be stacking those neurotoxins. She'll go down really, really fast with using someone like Archangel. Voodoo and Gwen also work, and then Wolverine's great as well, just because he can regen all that damage. For Old Man Logan, he heals really quick off of obviously the bleed stacks. So if you are going to use someone like an Archangel, that you're going to have to try to get that bleed on him quick. It's going to have to be back-to-back heavies. should be able to stack on him, be able to, if you can land a neurotoxin, that's really where your main damage is going to be coming from. Voodoo still works on him, even though he's got Mystic Ward. Voodoo transferring their buffs into poison, into the Loas, does not count from what I've seen as being able to be avoided by Mystic Ward, because he's technically not nullifying the buffs, he's transferring them. So I've fought against other Mystic Warded champions, especially in War and other things like that with Voodoo, and it's let me convert all my Loas and all the enemy's buffs without any issue there. So I'm just assuming it works as well in route to the Labyrinth. So as Old Man pops all his pacify stacks, pop off of Voodoo special level 1, transfer all those Fury and crits into poison, and just watch him die. It should be pretty straightforward there. Electro has Outlast, so he's got 20% damage reduction. He has an enhanced special 1, so it does more damage. It's unblockable. He's pretty easy to take down. I would use a Gwyn or Crossbones for this one. Archangel works as well, since he's probably my #1 pick for this round. Wolverine works too. Anybody that's going to be able to heal up that chip damage is a great choice. But at the same time, if you just play it right with Crossbones or Archangel, you shouldn't even be hitting them that many times. Archangel, again, parry heavy, watch the neurotoxin bleed him out, and as you get the neurotoxin stacks on him, it's less likely that he, if I remember correctly on the defensive ability accuracy reduction, it's less likely that you'll take damage from the static shock from Electro's passive or signature ability. Juggernaut, unblockable level 1 and 2, he'll push you back really quick, but you know, using someone that blocks really well, like a World War II. Yellow Jacket's also pretty strong because he likes using those specials, so those will just really start chunking out his damage. Yellow Jacket overrides Safeguard as well with his special. You can do over 1% of the max health using Yellow Jacket specials when the power stings actually go off. You also have, you know, bleed damage from Gwenpool Archangel. Same principle. Juggernaut can be a tough fight. Just try to keep him out of the corner. Push him. I personally like to push him to his level 2. It's more consistent to dodge. And that's really what I like to do. Bait the heavies, go in after those. Groot, he's got the Mystic Ward and stun immunity, so Voodoo is still a good option with the poison. But Mordo is one of my favorite champions to fight Groot with. So if you ever use Mordo on attack, I think he's very underrated as an attacker, especially on a high buff champion, like most of the Cosmic champions are, where they stack buffs. You get your level 2 very quickly, fired it off, and then as Groot pops his pacify stacks, that level 2 is just going to shred Groot's health bar from the soul barb. So that's one of my favorite ways to take down Groot. Mordo, through the rest of it's not great, but you can use him in a lot of these fights. Same with Old Man Logan. You can throw Voodoo or Mordo in there and well do the same thing against Old Man Logan with the pacify buffs. Thanos, he's got his specials are kind of annoying to dodge. You have to really be paying attention. Both are evadable, and then basically he's one that's probably going to catch you off guard because you don't fight Thanos a whole lot, and so get in there, kind of practice against him, and really on this last one, I would just say it's going to be a little trial and error while you get the timing of his specials down. There are openings after them though, so I would take in someone that has a high bleed, or again, Archangel, a Gwyn, someone that you can parry and just heavy afterwards, just to get as much stacking damage as possible on him. And that's going to be the same for Thanos every single time. I feel like he's an easier fight than Nightcrawler in a lot of cases, but to each their own. It's going to be a little bit different. If you can get Nightcrawler to switch into swashbuckling, he's a super easy fight. Real quick, I know this is going a little bit longer than I wanted to. Let's jump into chapter 4.3. So this zone has Spite, so you're going to want to take in champions that don't generate a lot of buffs. Dexterity counts as a buff. I've seen a lot of people that did this chapter by taking Dexterity off. I personally did not. I'd rather keep it on there and play with some power control champions. So your Ghost Riders, your Voodoos, people that can really control the power. Vision is a really good option as well. So just real quick, Iron Patriot starts with 1 bar of power, and he's got all or nothing. Spider-Man Stark Enhanced can override that with his taunt, so you can get that to come out early, so he can actually fire off his special 1 or 2, even with the all or nothing node on there. So he's obviously a really good choice for him for that. He does hit the 5-star crystal probably in a couple days after or maybe the day after this video posts, but So be aware of that, but if you don't have Sparky, other great options are like Voodoo, Ghost Rider, Vision, anybody to just help control the power. I would personally use Vision on this one, or Voodoo. Vision, because when he gets that power, the power gain at the end of his life, as well as the health regen, the overload, Vision can heal block that, and if you pop that level 2 while he's getting that, it'll reset him to 0, and there's a good chance that he won't get near enough power to do anything, and you just have full control. So Vision is my recommendation. If you have classic Vision, that's good. I have always preferred Age of Ultron Vision, just because I feel like I can control my power better. I don't have to wait for the power gain that Vision Classic gets. I'd rather have full control over what I'm doing. So I personally like Age of Ultron Vision better, but to each their own. Drax, he just has True Strike and Strike Back, so just as you use specials against him, just make sure you're paying attention to his power bar. So I wouldn't use a whole lot of specials unless you're using someone like Ghost Rider or Voodoo, just to be able to control that. Moon Knight, unblockable special 1 and a bias for it. Really just make sure you dodge the first kick. You can block the Moon Shuriken if you want, but I would just evade out of them. There's not really an opening after dodging a special 1 unless you're really close to him, which is hard to do since you have to dodge 2 Shuriken. So I would just bait the heavies, dodge the level 1s. The level 2s are really easy to dodge, and you can go in after that, so that's a good strategy. Doctor Strange is stun immune and all or nothing, so again, power control is where it's at, unless you have Stark Spider-Man. So Voodoo, Vision, Ghost Rider, someone that really just control his power. Those are my favorites. I know there's a lot of other power control champs. Hawkeye works really well in this chapter. With the bleed, he doesn't have any buffs on himself, so you're not going to have to worry about getting the spite note on them as well. So Hawkeye is a great option for all of this. Cyclops has increased power gain of 150% and a combo shield. Hopefully you're not getting hit, so the combo shield shouldn't matter anyways, but going in with some other power control. Vision to me was my MVP in this section. I think I did almost every single fight with Vision, except for the Drax. Just for the absolute crazy power control that he has. I didn't even have Voodoo or Ghost Rider in my arsenal at that time. Or someone that does just a crazy amount of damage, but you're just gonna have to bait that level 1. It's pretty, once you get used to dodging his level 1, Dorky Diggity Dave did a really good video on how to evade Cyclops like a ninja, or how to fight Cyclops like a ninja. I highly recommend you checking out that video. It really helped with a lot of timing on that, with dodging his beams. Symbiote Spider-Man is stun immune and has the increased buff duration. So this can be kind of frustrating because you're going to be dealing with, once he fires off a special, he will probably have another special before the evade buff wears off, and he evades like crazy, so you're really going to want to make sure to power control him down. Voodoo is a really good option. Gwenpool is good. Archangel is good. Just limit the... Archangel will limit a lot of the evades. Gwenpool will stack up the defensive ability accuracy reduction. Ghost Rider and Voodoo both have some pretty good power control. Voodoo, when you fire off your level 2 with a odd combo, they will drain power ridiculously fast. If you do it with an even combo, you're going to be doing more damage and reducing their power, or taking power off for every hit as well. So I'd recommend one of those guys. With Red Hulk, he has the increased attack and energy resistance. You're going to want to come in here, in my opinion, with someone who's just bleed. Your Gwenpool, your Hawkeye, someone like that. I put Blade in here because he's new, and I feel like he'd be a good option for this as well, because you're going to be taking that incinerate damage on block, so you're going to be getting chipped away pretty quick, but that's kind of what I'd recommend there. And then with Nightcrawler, again, he has an increased ability chance the second time you fight him, so he's going to be dodging even more than normal. My recommendation is getting him switched to Swashbuckling as quick as possible. With him being duped, it is a lot easier as he dodges back and blocks, go in for a 4-hit combo, and he will switch over to Swashbuckling, and then the rest of the fight you should be in the clear. So for this one, I wrote down my ideal team would be like Gwenpool, Voodoo, Archangel, Vision, and then like Hawkeye or Ghost Rider for my final one. Anybody that's doing a lot of damage without any massive amount of buffs. Voodoo, you'll have to be careful because obviously he is healing from the start of the fight, which gives the enemy spite and that power gain. So you're going to have to, and I should have mentioned this earlier, you're going to have to bait a lot before you can get that level 2 off. So just play careful if you're playing with Voodoo. Just be aware of that situation. He can be really strong for this. You're just going to have to bait out at least 2 specials before you're going to get to your special 2. So that's something that you're going to have to be aware of and knowledgeable about. I know I mentioned this earlier, but with Ghost Rider, early on in chapter 4.1, as you're taking the damage from spiked armor, you're really going to make sure that your heal stays up as long as possible. What I normally do is I start off with doing, I usually start off with just doing the Fury or the Bleed, either one. To me, it's not as big of a deal because that's not where what my concern is. A lot of times I'll just start with the Bleed. From the Bleed, I'll do another light hit combo ending so I can fire off my level 1. So do the Bleed, then do the level 1, then I do the Fury, and then I do the power degen, and then I pop my heavy to get the heal. So it was really my 5th judgment is where I'm getting my heal. So most of the fight I've got the heal buff up. I fire off my level 3 as quick as possible and then just kind of start that cycle again. Sometimes you can get the heal two times. You won't get through your full cycle twice. The fights will be over before that, even with a 440 Ghost Rider. So that's really how in my opinion, I like using Ghost Rider. I like having that heal up as long as possible when you're taking the damage from the spiked armor. So that is it, guys. That is chapter 4.1 through 4.3 of Road to the Labyrinth. I know it was kind of quick. We talked through it fast. I will probably be, if there's any questions on any of these, I'll probably be doing a quick video for each of them that I can link in the description once I get those done. But I wanted to have this out here. People are asking me about some Road to the Labyrinth help and tips. This is my personal opinion. I know everyone, like I said earlier, has their own. And so it's going to be coming across basically what you feel comfortable with, the champions that you enjoy using. But if you have any questions about who to use, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'll help you out as best I can, and I'll get some videos up trying to demonstrate what's going on as well. So, hey guys, I definitely appreciate you watching. I know this has been a long time listening to me talk, but if you feel free to leave a like, subscribe, or comment down below. I greatly appreciate that, and we'll have some more content out for you guys soon. Part 2 will hopefully be soon. I'm putting together all the listing, make sure I have proper information for everybody as we go through it. So anyway, thanks for your time, guys. Have a great night. Bye.